I started by laying out all of my components in a program called EagleCAD. Things like the ESP32, the HC12 radio, the joystick, the power supply, and all of the ports necessary for the external components. And then I imported all these parts into the board layout editor and laid out a circuit board that I thought would be roughly the right size for a handheld device. I connected up all the traces here, picked out where all the resistors would go, laid out the joystick, and where all the buttons and ports would line up. I then exported the file out of this program, sent it to JLC PCB, and they sent me the finished boards. I used Arduino to do all of the code for the entire project, both on the handheld unit and the pad unit. Things like symbols on the screen, all of the services for the electronics components within, including the radio two-way communication between the pad unit and the handheld unit, and the simulation that ultimately gets shown on the screen of the rocket trajectory. So the way we went about building this was using a program called Fusion 360 and CADSoft Eagle. I was able to take all the measurements from my circuit board, which you can see inside here, and exactly figure out where all of the holes in the circuit board were, all the dimensions, and basically come up with a design in CAD of each of the components that make up this whole system. I then 3D printed the output of the Fusion 360 file, as you can see here. Once the 3D printing process was complete, I removed it from the build plate and removed the raft that I used to print on. I normally use rafts when I 3D print to prevent warping of the edges of the devices I build. This is the back half of the handheld unit, and I used a raft for that as well. This is the completed back half of the handheld unit. Finishing up soldering here. Just reflowing some of the joints to make sure that there's a good electrical connection. And then glued on the battery. And place the arm switch into the hole that I had 3D printed for it. The launch switch was installed as well. Battery retention structure that I had 3D printed. And I connected up all the wires to JST connectors that are soldered onto the back of the circuit board. I then place the circuit board onto the pins that are 3D printed directly onto the back, and they match perfectly. Fit down the front cover, and everything matched up great. I have countersunk holes on the back for the screws. Set the tension really low on the screwdriver, and screwed in each one of the screws there for a nice secure fit. A quick test of the joystick to make sure everything is free and clear. And we're in business.